We were going through this chapter, and I think a couple of sections were covered, but when we really come to the understanding of devotional service in pure love of God, that's an ocean. That's very specific, and many devotees reach to that stage of pure devotional love of the Supreme Lord, and with their dedication, determination, and enthusiasm, Ulsaha Nishchaya Dhairya Tatat Karma Pravardhana. Ulsaha Nishchaya, the enthusiasm, determination, and dedication. So we went through all these chapters, 18 chapters, last 18 chapters, to bring to this point of devotional service in pure love of God, or pure bhakti, or Shuddha bhakti. So we will see how one can reach to that stage, or what are the symptoms of the pure devotional service. So before we begin, let us have the invocation prayers. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Lokanath Swamini Dinamine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Dinamine. Namaste Saraswada Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunumudamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadandigam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Udapadagammalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanidam Tum Sajivam Sadhuidam Savadudam Parijana Saidam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalidam Shri Vishakhanidamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानो सुदे देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरूपस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Namo Niruddhaya Shrigeshendriyatmane Namaha Paramahamsaya Purnaya Navurtatmane. Harihi Om Tatsat. Om Sahana Vavadu Sahanau Bhunaktum Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinamaditam Ma Vidushavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna. 1 minute. Okay. Thank you all again for joining this very auspicious understanding of what is devotion. Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is very systematically compiled this transcendental knowledge for our benefit. So how we can pass, how we can come to different stages of bhakti. It's not that, we just do something and we say, oh, I reached to that stage of devotion that Lord is coming in front of me. Or that we say that, okay, I get so much of tears in my eyes and my body gets shivers. So we can think, or we can revive ourselves that Is that symptoms which comes to our consciousness, comes to our body, is genuine, or is it from something else? So it is mentioned that we should not have a mental speculation or our own that come up with a conclusion that, okay, Lord did that to me, Lord did this to me, oh, Lord desires that, or because of the Lord desires that I got this one. Yes, that thoughts are always good, that always we need to connect with the Lord, but we should not come to that conclusion that, yes, a Lord is my maid servant. Okay? Don't ever think that Lord is my maid servant, that Lord is doing this for me, Lord is doing that for me. Many times we have these conversations. Oh, this is Lord's desire that it is just like that. So it's always very important to understand what is the devotion, what is pure devotion, what is the science of this Krishna consciousness, so that we will not be come to that kind of sentimentalism, right? Many times we are quite sentimental. That is, everything that we say and talk about everything that, oh, because I am this, I am that, because of my devotion, because of my that, this, those, is all happening. There are so much of sentimentalism is there, or mental speculation. So this Sri Rupa Goswami compiled this nectar of devotion to give us that very, very transcendental and pure understanding of what is devotion. So we have to really and thoroughly go through and understand this, how we can pass and passes different stages of devotion and can reach to that pure devotion, pure devotion. So it's very important. So with that context, please always have very keen attention on this each and every word of Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada. Of course, this Nectar of Devotion is the translation from the original Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which was compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. Then Srila Prabhupada translated that in such a very simple and understanding, translation, so that we all can take and adopt in our life, and we can practice and follow this in our life, so that we can reach to that different stages of bhakti. So here, in the context, in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada writes this: when one's desire to love Krishna in one's particular relationship becomes intensified, this is known as pure love of Godhead. The devotees always remember this, right? So when one's desires to love Krishna in particular relationship, so there is so many important points are there. Love for Krishna, intensified in particular relationship. Anybody knows that how, there are how many relationship that sambandha one can establish with the Supreme Lord? Anybody can reply? Anybody can say? Can anybody tell to me or unmute yourself and say?
5 sambandhas, Prabhuji.
5 types of sambandhas, relationship. And what are those relationships?
Sakhya, Vasalya, Madhurya, Dasya, and one more. Huh? Shanta, yeah.
Yes, Shandaras, this Dasyaras, then Sakyaras, then we come to the Valsalyaras, then we come to the Madhuryaras. So when a devotee passes from the Shandaras, so anybody knows, anybody can define what is Shandaras? Anybody? You all must have heard many times. What do you understood by Shandaras?
In neutrality, Prabhu.
In neutrality, in passive stage, right? Active and passive. So in the Nectar of Devotion, the beginning itself says that one can establish 5 rasas. That is, one is in active and another is passive. That is called neutrality. That where that you are in it eternally, you are part and then always serving in a passive state. Passive state means that, just for an example, in Vrindavan, right? In Vrindavan, the cows are serving in a very much lovingly, very much in relationship, and serving in a neutrality. That an opportunity to serve, like the trees are saving the grass and the creepers, everything in Vrindavan's Lord's abode is also can be related in service of the Lord. That's called the passive or neutrality. Uddhava was very much desiring to become a grass in Vrindavan. So that, what is that devotion? Uddhava. But of course, Uddhava's devotion is higher. It's all in Sakiras and also in higher than that. But Uddhava was desiring to become a grass in Vrindavan Dham. Why? Because of Uddhava seeing that the devotion the gopis have, that nobody can attain that stage, because of gopis' devotion was so exemplary and the highest of all. So Uddhava was thinking that if I become a grass in Vrindavan, so that I get the dust of those devotees, so that they all come on me, so this way I get more pure devotion. See, Uddhava was even thinking, what is that pure devotion that gopis had? So this is called the relationship. So this way, one can develop a relationship with the Lord. So when that relationship intensifies with the love to Krishna intensifies in particular relationship, then what happens? That comes to that pure loving devotion to the Supreme Lord. So there are a lot to say, but let's continue. So it is mentioned that in the beginning, a devotee is engaged in the regulative principles of devotional service by the order of his spiritual master. So we all know that by the mercy of devotees, we started to engage in the devotional service. Or we say that we develop the faith by the instructions of the devotees, by the instruction of the devotees, that, okay, we started to chant 8 rounds or 16 rounds or more than that, and some kinds of process of sadhana, that we come and serve the deities or serve the devotees, serve the temples, and so many devotional activities we start to engage because of the instructions of the devotees or Shiksha gurus or Bhaktivrisha leaders, or we say spiritual master. So this is the way that we come to that regulative principles, or called sadhana or sadhana bhakti, regulative principles. So then what happens? Then one becomes completely purified by all material contamination by the process of sadhana, then develop an attachment and taste for devotional service, right? So we can see that we all are going through that stage of it. So we are all going through that stage of it. We are trying to purify, trying to become a devotee, trying to become a sadhaka, even though there are thousands of faults, thousands of impurities are in our mind. But because of our mercy of the devotees, because of the mercy of the Lord, somehow or other, we are connected, and we are trying to practice that every day, so that one day our intention is that one day we will become purified from this material contamination. So then what happens when we develop an attachment and taste for devotional service? So now, if anybody come and ask you, Prabhuji, can you do this service? We may have so much of then conditions, or we have so much of or hesitations, or some kind of difficulties in order to do that. Then we think that, oh, I don't have this time, I don't have that time. So I have so much of things to do. Oh, let me, if I am free, Prabhuji, if I am free tonight, then I will come for the service. So we have so much of things to do our own, because of why it is happening, because our taste and attachment is somewhere else, not with the Lord, not to the Lord. So because of that impurities, our taste and attachment for something else, then we don't develop much attachment for Krishna and loving devotional services. But that's why the spiritual master and devotees instructions are so important. So because of that power that Shakti which transfers to us by the instructions of Guru and devotees, then somehow or other we start to do some time on our day-to-day busy schedule. Sometimes we do some devotional services. Otherwise, we take that as granted, and there is no instructions, there is no guidance, there is no overseeing. Then we take it granted and we say, okay, okay, I will chant tomorrow. Then that tomorrow never comes, right? So this is the way that our daily, sadhana goes. We are not serious about anything. So then, Sri Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada says that this taste and attachment, when gradually intensified in the course of time, becomes love. So that's where it's coming from the beginning itself. We were, understanding and listening and studying that the different stages of bhakti, sadhana bhakti becomes matures. Then, that sadhana bhakti itself, there is Vaidhi sadhana bhakti also, as per the vidhi, as per the rules and regulations. Then we come to the spontaneous love. That's where Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here. When we are serious, when we develop attachment and taste for this loving devotional service or chanting of the holy name, then what happens? Eventually, that gradually intensifies, and that became, in course of time, that becomes is known as raga anuga bhakti, or called spontaneous love. Spontaneous love for Krishna. In this time, and now we are practice little bit and we develop the taste for Krishna, develop the taste for holy name, attachment for Krishna, attachment for loving devotional services, and then we get developed that spontaneity, or that continuous spontaneity, or the spontaneous love, or raga anuga bhakti. Then we follow that the love for that Supreme Lord, right? I was hearing this from Gauranga Prabhu sometime, I think some time ago. Gauranga Prabhu came to our center and then started to speak on this devotional service. Prabhuji was saying that in Chaupati, the devotees were has to register for their service. So there are so many, like 2,000 devotees are there in the rotation, in the roster, that in order to get a one service, so they have to wait for like 6 months, that even that one devotee to get a service for the lordships in the temple. So then there are serious devotees, they are signed up for these services. Then what happens is, Garanga Prabhu was saying that, so some reason or something, some great senior disciples comes of Srila Prabhupada, or some senior devotees comes. That time what happens, some changes will be there in the rotation, in the roster. So then this devotee, senior devotee, will call that devotee, those who are registered for the service. For example, for tomorrow, there is a service for a devotee is assigned. Then what happens? There is some slight change, and will tell to that devotee or devotee that you'll have to wait for another chance, because of this service is now changed. So some reason, so and so reason. So Gauranga Prabhu was saying that this devotee will virtually break, and his heart, he will cry like anything. He would cry like anything, that he is missing his opportunity to serve the lordships. So, dear devotees, this is called the spontaneity or spontaneous love, that attachment for the service, attachment for the Lord's devotion, attachment for chanting the holy name. If a devotee doesn't read or chant in a day, he will be restless. And we can see that many devotees feels that when we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day. And if you don't read, then you will feel the difference. If you chanting every day morning and you get that ecstasy, you get that attachment, you get that the taste for the lordships, then you can see that the difference, that when you don't chant. So this is called, but then we feel that the feeling of separation, that the feeling of emptiness, so many things that we can feel that when you don't chant the holy name in a day, or you're continuously chanting like that. When you engage in this loving devotional service every day, naturally this taste and attachment develops. And then if you don't get that one day, then you will really realize that how much attachment you have for this, that how much love you have for the devotional service. So the devotees, this is called Raganuga Bhakti. Tyaganuga Bhakti or spontaneous love. That becomes love. That becomes love for the Supreme. That means then in that loving stage, and then it's, again, it is mentioned that the word love can actually be applied only in relationship with the personality of Godhead. So this is called the sambandha, the love or relationship, right? There are many, many words into the in the Sanskrit. One is called raga, and another is called anurag. These are all another definitions of love, right? So then it says that it's actually applied only in relationship with the Supreme Lord. So why it is mentioned that why it is only in relationship with the Supreme Lord? Because of then it is actually the love or that intense attachment for the Lord is pure. And it says that further in this the same text, what goes under the name of love in the material world is nothing but the lust. So what is lust? What is lust means unwanted desires to satisfy our own selfish desires, unwanted, unnecessary desires, unnecessary activities, unnecessary selfish desires to satisfy our own selfish activities. That's called the lust. So, in any of the love, what we say in this world, that we can see that we are in the center. So when we are in the center of all our activities or exchange of anything that we call it as a love, when we are in the center, then what happens? That is not love, that is just a lust because we are trying to satisfy our own desires. We are trying to satisfy our own, intentions. We are trying to satisfy our own benefit. We are trying to put ourselves for our own benefit. Anything that we take in this world, even when we come to this devotion, right? Even many devotees chant for their own benefits. Okay, I need to get this job. I need to purify all my problems. I need to eradicate. I need to be situated in happiness. I need to situate in so many things so that everything will be easy for me. Then in that case, I will chant. So many times our intention is that, okay, fulfill that whatever I have. Lord will be like my maid servant, and Lord will should fulfill all my desires. Then that is the intention of many times when we chant or loving devotional service. Okay, everything will be perfect in my life because of we are. That is not love. That is not devotion. That is just the lust that Srila Prabhupada says. So Srila Prabhupada says there is a gulf of difference between love and lust. So this is what it is. When we are in the center of all our activities, even in the devotion, when we comes, if we are whimsically doing our own purpose or our own namesake, our own things, that is not love. That's not devotion. That is just for lust. That's not love. Like the difference between gold and iron. So we know that gold is rustless, right? But iron get rust. So rust. So then what happens? Gold is very pure, but iron is completely contaminated, right, with so many of other materials, so many of other elements. So when you take the gold and iron, that's a iron. Gold is very pure and iron is fully contaminated. That's why it's getting rust, and then eventually it diminishes like that. But gold is not. Gold is always like that. Gold does not oxidification does not happen for the gold. So, in the Narada Panjaratra, it is clearly stated that when lust is completely transferred to the Supreme Godhead and the concept of kinship is completely reposed in him, such is accepted as pure love of God by great authorities like Bhishma, Prahalada, Uddhava, and Narada. So it is mentioned that so when self-centric, we are in the center of all our activities, and we are always selfish in all our activities. That's less. But at the same time, when we transfer all this our all this intention and desire for the for the service of the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord, to please the Lord, then what happened? That is known as the love or the pure devotion to the Supreme. That accepted as the pure love. So, like, the great authorities, we know that there are 12 Mahajans. They were all specified, mentioned this what is pure love. Pure love, God is in the center. The Supreme Lord Krishna is in the center of all our activities. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanuspire yuttecha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that whatever activities we do, we can do that, but you always remember me, that, oh Arjuna. Like that, we can put ourselves that all our activities, but Krishna, we are doing this for Krishna, everything that we are doing for Krishna, in that consciousness, that real love develops like that. So then there is a paragraph. Great authorities like Bhishma Deva have explained that love of Godhead means completely give up all so-called love for any other person. According to Bhishma, love means reposing one's affection completely upon one person. So this is generally love means that when we are in love with someone, then we just love only that person, nobody else. Then if you are loving so many other people, it is not love, it is not an exclusive love, it is just a lust, right? Otherwise, if you are loving someone, then there is an exclusive loving love towards that person. That's the definition of a love, that is always completely upon one person, withdrawing all affinities for any other person. This pure love can be transferred to the Supreme Personality Godhead under two conditions: out of ecstasy and out of causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's where we come to this point of, right, that when we completely, exclusively worship that Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is called love. That means we are not in the center, Krishna in the center. That's why Srila Prabhupada put this organization name Krishna Conscious Movement. Krishna is in the center, nothing else, nobody else in the center. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is in the center. So Krishna centric activities, right? So then, um, withdrawing all affinities to one person, right? So then, um, there is the pure love can be transferred to Supreme Personality of Godhead under two conditions: out of ecstasy and out of causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What does that mean? Out of ecstasy, that means one comes to that stage of bhav, that means you completely surrender unto the Krishna, right? Completely surrender unto the Krishna. In that stage, one can exclusively worship Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then out of mercy of the Supreme Lord. So that's why we need this kripa, or the mercy, that in order to come to that stage of pure love of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we come to the paragraph that's called ecstasy. So let's take that ecstasy, how one can come to that ecstasy and then get the pure love of Godhead. Ecstatic love of Godhead can be potently invoked simply by following the rules and regulations of devotional service as they are prescribed in scriptures, under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In the 11th canto, second chapter, verse 40 of Srimad Bhagavatam, this ecstatic love, born of the execution of regulative devotional service, is explained. A devotee, in the course of executing the regulative principles of devotional service, develop his natural Krishna consciousness. As being thus softened at heart, he chants and dances like a madman. While performing chanting of the holy name of the Lord, he sometimes cries, sometimes talks wildly, sometimes sings, and sometimes, without caring for any outsider, dance like a madman. So where it comes from, dear devotees, as it says that Adho Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivurti, Nishta, right? Asakti, then Nishta, Ruji, and Asakti, then Bhava and Prema. So this is the stages that one can pass through by these regulative principles, by the directions of the scriptures. So the instructions of the devotees, directions of the scriptures, we follow strictly, that we can come to that state of ecstasy. In that state, that one can easily develop, and one perform this continuous service like dancing, chanting, singing, and then it's dilute his heart, it is soften his heart, all this hardness that will dilute, then he can really relish that bhava, that ecstasy for the Supreme Lord. So in the Padma Purana, there is a statement about ecstatic love born of spontaneous affection. Chandrakandi, a celebrated fair-faced girl, rigidly observed celibacy in order to obtain Krishna as her husband. She always engaged herself in meditating on the transcendental form of the Lord and always chanted the glories of the Lord. She did not desire to accept anyone else as her husband. She had firmly decided that only Lord Krishna would be her husband. So there are many, many examples like this. And one I remember is actually, it's a very famous in South India. I think so. How many of you know that, heard about, there is a devotee, and not only a devotee, a great, great, even, is an incarnation of the Mother Lakshmi, and it's mentioned that. How many of you heard about Andal? In South India, especially in Tamil Nadu. Anyone of you heard about the Andal? Anybody can unmute. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, I've
Yes,
heard of
Prabhuji.
it.
You heard about
Yes,
Andal?
Prabhuji.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's a great, great example that how one can reach to that stages of this pure devotion. So Andal is a name which is mean that the meaning of this Andal means one who is immersed, one who is completely surrendered, one who is so much immersed like this. So the incident happened like this in it's almost 8th century. There are many alvas means those who are completely in the mercy of the Lord. They were completely dedicated their entire life for the Lord, and from the very kind of almost like 12 centuries, that is span of that, very, very exalted devotees manifest, and they completely dedicated their life for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we heard about that Kulashegara Alvar. So like that, there are 12 Alvas were there in the Vaishnava tradition. Those are Vaishnavites. They completely exclusively worship the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And like that, the Alvar, this in this Alvar's Parambara, there were one female Alvar was there. That was Andal. So it is very great to hear about this personality. So it was happened in 8th century, and there is a Periya Alvar, or there was a devotee called Vishnu Chitta. Vishnu Chitta in Villiputhupuram. There is a Ranganath temple was there. It's Lord's temple, Ranganath, and not the Sri Ranganath, but there is another Ranganath temple. It was there in Sri Villiputhupuram. And this devotee, this Vishnu Chitta, was an ardent servant of that Supreme Lord there. And he was very staying very nearby. And this devotee service was to make garland for the Supreme Lord every day. So you go to the garden, it's called Nandavan, and there he collects this beautiful flowers every day, and then makes beautiful garlands and offered to the Lord. And this was the service this Vishnu Chitta was going through. And he was an ardent devotee. And by the time he became like an Alvar, he was compiling the poems and poetic, all these saintly poems and all those this Vishnu Chitta was compiling. So, but also very humble devotee. His the whole devotion, his all intention was to serve the Lord in such a very pure form. So then, but he didn't have a child. So he was also praying that, so how will I continue this, my service, and how will I continue this services to the Supreme Lord that? So one time what happened, there was a king who was ruling in Madhura. It is it's somewhere like Devaraya, something like that. Yeah, Devaraya, that the king who was ruling the Madhura, that's part of this the Vilputpuram. And then he had some doubts about the spiritual topics. So then he got a dream that okay, please invite this Vishnu Chitta, then he can answer. So one day this king sent a person to Vishnu Chitta and mentioned that this is what is happened. So you have to come, and so that the king had some questions too. Then spiritual topics you have to answer. So then Vishnu Chitta went unhesitatingly, or that feeling that I'm not qualified, what to answer. So like this. So this Vishnu Chitta went there, and then this devotee went there, and the king was pleased, and then king started to ask this question. All on a sudden, by the mercy of the Lord, like Sanskrit and everything is coming, flowing out from this mouth of this Vishnu Chitta incessantly, flowingly. And he couldn't even believe that he was quoting verses, he was quoting from the scriptures, and how this was happened. And then king was so much inspired by the answers, and so much then impressed by the answers. And then king was so pleased and gave a lot of gifts and gold and these lakshmis and so much things to Vishnu Chitta. Then Vishnu Chitta brought back, and everything that he got from the king. Those times, king gives lots of gold and jewelries, money and so many things. Everything he utilized for the service of the Ranganath, that temple. So then everything, he became so famous in like that. He was a ardent devotee of the Lord. Then only one, in his heart was that how will I continue when I become old? How will I continue the service? Then all on a sudden, then what happened? One day, in that there was a Tulasi garden was there nearby the temple. And one day he was trying collecting these flowers. He saw a little child, a baby was lying down under a Tulasi plant, under a Tulasi tree. And then he thought that this is by the mercy of the Lord Ranganath, that is became that received a child, and it's there up here, and it's there, and nobody is nearby, nobody is claiming. Then Vishnu Chitta received and took this baby and then brought to his house, and then started to take care of this baby. And then baby became like growing, and then now 2 year 3 year old, and became, it was a girl. So she became so much learning from the father, this Vishnu Chitta, every day, and being there with Vishnu Chitta and helping and hearing all these beautiful poems and the songs that Vishnu Chitta, recites, and praying to the Lord like this. And then after that, then she became like 4 years old almost, that now she also become an ardent devotee of the Lord just by hearing, just by being with that devotee. So then Vishnu Chitta's daily routine was collect the flowers from the garden, and then make the garlands, and then offer to the lordships. Hare Krishna. I think somebody is chanting. Can we mute, please? Okay. So then this Vishnu Chitta offering this garland to the lordships every day. So now this initially this Vishnu Chitta named this baby that Godai or Kotai. Kotai means the mercy of the Lord, and the goddess, and likes that. So then this Kotai then also now became 4 years old. Then seeing that father is offering this every day, now she also developed such a love for the Lord even at the small age. Then she, as soon as the father Vishnu Chitta makes this garland, then Kotai will, what will happen? She also wear it. She also wear it and looks that, okay, this is good for the Lord. She will decide that, okay, now this looks very good. So now it can offer. So now she develops such a love for the Lord. Hare Krishna, can we please put a mute? Many devotees, there is some background noise. Okay. So okay. So so then this little child, the Kothai, she would wear this garland and look at the mirror and see that everything is perfect, is good. Now Lord can wear this. So this was going on for some time, and she was also started to make these garlands for the lordships. When we make the garland for the lordships, and she would wear it and make sure that then this is perfect, is beautiful for the lordships like this. So one day Vishnu Chitta took this garland to the Lord Ranganath like this, and then offered to the priest. And when priest was about to offer and offered to the lordships, then what happened? He saw an hair on this garland, become so furious. He called Vishnu Chitta and then chastised like anything, that how can we offer? How can you do this? And you're wearing this garland, and there is a hair on this garland. You're offering this to the Lord. Everything should be pure and completely pure. And Vishnu Chitta became so, disappointed, and he was kind of having that thoughts of that. How is it possible that it's never happened like this? And then Vishnu Chitta that couldn't sleep like this. And next day also the same thing. And then again that the same thing. The hair was on the garland. So Vishnu Chitta became so much remorse and then came. And then finally Vishnu Chitta found out that this Kotai, this Andal was wearing this garland every day to make sure that everything, length and breadth, everything is good, that the garland is good, and then everything is in a proper order. And she was looking at now saying that, oh, this is good, this is good. She was saying this is good for the Lord like this. So then Vishnu Chitta became so also angry and chastised even that Kotai. And then, but then that day, when when he was a new garland, he made a new garland out of it. So when it's made a new garland and offered to the Lord, immediately that garland broken down from the Lord's neck and fall down, and nothing, as if that Lord didn't like it. So, but then that Vishnu Chitta had a dream. Vishnu Chitta had a dream that I likes the garland which Kothai wore. That's what is I needed. So he got a dream and he got that kind of vision that Lord likes that the garland which Kothai was wearing every day. So Vishnu Chitta realized that this is not an ordinary child. This is not an ordinary child. Since then, the Vishnu Chitta started to call this little child Kothai as an Andal. So then she became, so ardent devotee of the Lord. And every day she makes sure that the garland is perfect and very pure. And then nice fragrance is there. And she was making this garland for every day. And Vishnu Chitta takes an offer to the Lord. And by this time, she was like very well versed with everything. Even though she is very small, she learned the Sanskrit and she learned everything. And before even she reached to the 15, she compiled very great poem about the Supreme. And this poem was mentioned that still this poem is reciting in Tamil Nadu, and there is a Margazhi, there is a Ranganath temple in the December, January, there's a Margazhi mass, that month of everybody recite these poems and they celebrate this like anything. So before she even reached to the 15, she compiled two poems. One is actually called Tirupavai. Tirupavai means which is mentioned that this is nothing but that the glories of the Supreme Lord. And in that poem, she was considering that she was a gopi. She was a gopi in Vrindavan, and she is a follower of Srimati Radharani, and she was longing for the Lord every day. That this is the way that she compiled this poem, and it became so famous in that meter and everything. That's a Sanskrit. It's like a 60-year-old, like a Sanskrit poet compiles like a poem before even she reached the 15 years. Then another one is actually called Tiru Nachiyar Tirumozhi. Nachiyar Tirumozhi means, Nachiyar means the goddess. Goddess means the Lord's potency or goddess. And Nachiyar Tirumozhi means that the sacred words, words from the goddesses. So again, this is also like a Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govindam. There is full of each words, each poem is compiled in such a way that intense desire for the lordships and hankering for the lordships. So, dear devotees, this is where that we come to that understanding that devotion is what is the pure devotion. So completely, and that there is nothing that this Andal was thinking nothing else than the Lord. So the Andal herself that decided that I am for the Lord, nothing else. My life is for the Lord, nothing else. So Andal was thinking like this. So then what happened? Then it was in those days, like in early marriage was very common. So then she was reached around 15 years, and the Vishnu Chitta then mentioned that now I'm worried about that. Okay, now she needs to get married. So when he mentioned that she needs to get married, and she said that I am not going to marry any mortal person in this world. Any mortal person in this world, I would marry only to the Supreme Lord, Krishna. So this was her desire, this was her longing, this was her hankering. for all the time, all the time. And Lord was very much pleased with it, such a devotion. So then what happened? This desires, he was also informed to the Madura king who was ruling that time because of, he said that the Andal mentioned that I want to marry Lord Ranganath, nobody else. I want to marry Lord Ranganath, nobody else. So then the Vishnu Chitta was pleased one way and then informed to the king of Madura who was ruling that time. Then the king of Madura arranged, he was also pleased. He was a great devotee of the Lord that as well. So then he arranged a great, ceremony for marriage ceremony, the Andal's wedding, marriages with the Lord Ranganath. So this Srivilliputtapuram is almost 250 kilometers away from the Sri Ranganath, in the Srirangam. And then he arranged a great procession. He arranged the palanquin and everything for this Andal. So they arranged the elephants for the procession. Then they all started this wedding. It's a Lord's wedding. So then they arranged everything and they brought this Andal into the Sri Ranganatha temple. So then everything was arranged there. And everything was arranged. And then when this Andal came in front of the altar and sanctum, and she just got down from there, she just went inside, and this was the desire. And the Lord Ranganath also came to the dream of this Vishnu Chitta that I would like to marry the Andal. So this was a not ordinary marriage. So the Lord Ranganath also had a desire to marry this Andal. That also came to the in the vision of, in the dream of Vishnu Chitta. So that's why it's all arranged like this. Then he decided that this is the Lord's arrangement. So then Andal came down into the Sri Ranganath's temple there, and then came in front of the sanctum. And as soon as she got down from the Dalankin, and then she just entered into the sanctum, and she just went and merged in the deity of the Sri Ranganath. She just completely merged in the deity of Ranganath. And everybody was so jubilant in such a way that it was happened. It was in the 8th century. Decided that it was none other than this Andal that manifested on this earth. It was also another incarnation of the Mother Earth. So of course Bhudevi is considered as the consort of Lord Vishnu. And also another was mentioned that she was also incarnation of Mother Lakshmi. So that's why she was also, since childhood, she was for the Lord, and completely dedicated everything in her body, minds, and everything. She was surrendered to the lordships, and she was putting everything in the poem that, oh Lord, everything what I have is for you, nothing else, for nobody else. You can take it, I'm just hankering for it. And when she was 15 years old, now she came back to this Rirangam and she merged into the lordships. So this was all happened. Their devotees like this. So we we can see that. So when a devotee, like so many examples are out there, like Mirabai is considered as the Lord's eternal consort, and as mentioned that, and also Mirabai is also merged with the Dwarakadesh, the deity, and this was also happened. And there's another devotee called Namadev. Namadev. Namadev was a devotee in Pandharpur, and many of you must have heard about this Namadev. The Namadev was lived in 17th century. So Namadev was a great devotee of the Lord, always dancing, singing, and nothing else is important for him. And not even anything that he may starve for 3 days, 4 days, doesn't matter. And if anything that one day there was, this has happened, and Namadev was singing and dancing for quite a long time. And then his wife brought some chapati, roti, and then shakar, and then ghee. So because Namadev was so much immersed into this chanting and the dancing, this is called ecstasy, right? That's why by ecstasy that one can come to that pure love. So then Namadev was dancing and singing and, immersed in the thoughts of the Lord like this. And then this wife was keep reminding him that, there is a food you eat. There's been quite some time you didn't eat. Please eat, please eat, please eat. But he didn't care much, and it was there. And then after some time, what happened? One dog came. One dog came and then grabbed a couple of roti and then ran away. So seeing this, Namadev just took the shakar and ghee out from that, the roti, and he also started to run, fast and follow this dog And then Namadev was saying that, please stop, please stop, please stop, and please stop. And but it's mentioned that Namadev was also seeing that even dog has the Vittala Dev, Lord Vittala. So this dog is also Lord Vittala. He does not see anything else as, the Lord's, potency. And he see everything as the Lord's mercy. Everything is Lord's, presence. So he is seeing this Lord is also came and started to eat this. That is Lord himself. So somehow then after some time, after quite some time, he was running after this dog. And then he cornered the dog, and then he came and told, "Oh Lord, how can you eat this roti without the shakar and ghee? How will you taste it? Can you take this shakar and ghee and eat with this one?" The devotees, this is the pure devotees of the Lord. See that? So one day, then Namadev becomes so famous in his devotion, and then it is mentioned that he is very, very powerful and very great devotee of the Lord. So there was a Mughal emperor was ruling that time in Delhi. So he wanted to test this devotee, Namadev. So he then invited and to Delhi, and he came there. And then even though he came there, he was singing and dancing, and so many people around him. And then this the king wanted to test the Namadev, and he made an arrangement. He made a dead cow and brought it, and where he was, there were a lot of people around, and in the boundary, in the border. And then he put a dead cow over there, and then he came and asked, "See, there is a dead cow. We heard that you have great devotee of the Lord. Can you can you give him a life? Can you bring him back to the life?" So then Namdev was just, then devotees were around and all. Namdev said that, yes, that in few days this cow will come back to life. Then he went back and he started to pray to the Lord. Oh Lord, I just made this one, and then out of all this, and I didn't want to, but can you please that in few days, I mentioned that in few days, this cow will come back to his life, her life. So Namadev was praying. So this one day is passed, nothing happened. 2 day, 3 day, and fourth day, this cow came back to her life. Everybody was so astonished. So everybody was so astonished and praised, and the king, even the Mughal king, was also praised. Namadev was it's not an ordinary person. He came before this Namadev and paid his obeisances and prayed, and appraised, and seeing his devotion like that, and for falling flat at his feet. Then devotees asked, why it is Lord took 4 days to bring this cow back to her life. So Namadev said, I mentioned to Lord that in few days. That's why it took 4 days. That Lord, exactly fulfill the desires of his devotees. Exactly. So this devotee Namadev said that, okay, the cow should come back in her high life in few days. So it took 4 days to come back to her life. So, but if devotee would say, okay, that cow should come back to life now, then that would have happened. So, but devotee didn't mention that in a few days. So that generally few days, okay, not that giving trouble. So it's all part of this love, dear devotee. So this is called ecstasy. This is the way that one can come to that stage of ecstasy and completely dancing and chanting and completely dedicated to the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is pleased with all such devotion. That's called the pure devotion, that one can come to that pure devotion. There are so many examples out there. So now it is almost 8:04. So there are so many examples, is mentioned here. It's also in this chapter. So what exactly is giving that pure devotion? We can see from the so many devotees, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can see that even in Jagannath Puri. So we can see that Lord is personally going and reciprocating the love of the devotees, personally going. There's so many examples out there that we can take one by one, that how Lord is reciprocating the love of his devotees. So everybody can come to that stage of loving and pure devotion to the Supreme Lord. So I think it's 8:05, and let me stop here. And so this is the way the devotees, we can see that when our devotion gets matures, and we all have to purify, we also have to come to that sadhana, our devotion, regular practices, and develop that attachment for the Lord, love for the Lord. Then we come to that so intense love for the Lord that we come to that stage of always thinking of the Lord, and Krishna is in the center of our life, not that we put ourselves in the center. Everything that we do for the pressure of Krishna, that is called love, and everything else we put ourselves in the center of our life, that's called lust. So we put Krishna is in the center of our love and center of our life, and then we develop the love for Krishna. This is the way that we have to come to that stage of pure devotion. So this is the way that we can always, that our life will be fulfilled, and our life will our life becomes so perfect in that way. This is the way that we all can come to that stage of pure devotion. So thank you so much, and let me stop here. Hare Krishna. I hope that conveyed some message that we can take home with all of us, and we can practice this, and we all can come to that stage of pure devotion. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is anybody has any reflections or any questions? If anybody has, please open up, and you can unmute if you want to raise some concerns. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Yeah.
You mentioned just now that whatever the devotees ask for,
Yes.
Krishna provides, right?
Yes.
So, but isn't the reverse also true? Like, Krishna doesn't give us whatever we want; he gives us what we need or what is correct.
Yes, that is
So
true.
we may ask for something, but if it's not appropriate for us, so then how do the two tie together? Can you please?
Sure. It's a good question, Madaji. Thank you so much. Yes, Krishna is mentioned that Krishna always provide our needs, not the greed. Krishna knows that, what that devotee is. So yes, of course, we sometimes we ask as a devotee or a devotional platform or the devotional level, that we think that, okay, Krishna is our, order carrier, or Krishna is there to fulfill all my desires. So then what happens? We are not into that pure devotional platform. Again, it's Krishna says that akama sarva kama moksha kama udarati tibrena bhakti yogena chade labade purusham param. Whatever the desires we have, we should offer that to Krishna. We should bring that to Krishna. Krishna will fulfill that no matter what. So that's why Chaturvija Bhajante Mam Nas Jana Sukridina Arjuna Artho Arthat Jignasu Janina Bharar Sabha. One who is in distress, one who is desire of wealth, one who is in gusty, one who is looking for pure devotion. They all come to me. Krishna says that. So yes, in one sense, whatever we have, we should offer, and we should pray that to the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord will fulfill, whether it is good or bad. And again, that when our desires are sincere, in the sense that there is no that like so much of selfish motive. Like just for an example, like many devotees ask that, okay, give that that devotee give some trouble to him, right? So sometimes even in devotional platform, devotees they're envious. They have so much of impurities, so much of that. Krishna won't fulfill such. Krishna knows that Krishna is Baba Grahi Janardana. Krishna knows that what is needed for that. So suppose I'm looking for a job. Okay, so I pray to the Lord, Lord, I'm going through this. Yes, and that's a genuine, because of as a devotee, he gets a job, he gets the money, he then at least not fully, but some extent he engages that Lakshmi for the service of the Lord some way or other. So it's a genuine desire, genuine pray for the Lord, or maybe something that which comes to that personal love, which disturbs my mind, right? We pray to the Lord that, okay, so that I can situate properly in my devotion. Something, some troubles, something that comes up, some problems I have, some ailments I have. So then we pray to the Lord, so that way that will fulfill. But when there is a greed that which utilizes for my own sensual, or this is kind of giving trouble to the other living entities, and then Lord will think that, sees that, okay, whether this need to be fulfilled. Because of, when a genuine desire is there, Lord will definitely fulfill that. But when there is a greed and which is harmful for any other living entities, then Lord will not fulfill that. Then what happened? That's where the time we goes against the will of the Lord. We put our efforts. It's become sinful activities and karma that all comes to our life, right? So this is the way. So the question is that, that when we ask for something to the Lord, and then the greed or the need, so this is all depends on that, how that Krishna, I mean, if you are sincere or desires are sincere in our all attempt, then Krishna will definitely fulfill that, no doubt into that. But if the desires are which is so selfish and which is using for harmful for others and against the interest of other devotees, or enviousness, or wanted to put others down, and so many things, so that is purely from our own thoughts and our own karma, that we put extra efforts on it, and then we act in the karma comes to us for that as well. But otherwise, genuine desires, Krishna always fulfill that. You know that the story of this Sakshi Gopal, right? So Sakshi Gopal was, the story that a Brahmana, he was not even desiring anything. That this Brahmana, this young Brahmana was serving an old Brahmana. They came to the temple in Govardhan and in Gopalji's temple there. And this oldest Brahmana was insisting him to marry that oldest Brahmana's daughter. Then by finally, then he got this, okay, fine. And if your desire so, this is the way that devotee, if he desires so, then he mentioned that, yes, are you serious about it? And he said, yes, I am serious. Old Brahmana said, I'm serious. Then are you taking a vow in front of the Lord? Yes, I promise in front of the Lord. So Lord was so serious about it, right? He took this old Brahmana took a promise in front of the Lord. The Lord then finally fulfilled that, all the things. Then this old Brahmana came back to his home. Then he completely changed his vow. Then what happened after that? This young Brahmana came and he didn't fulfill. Then he prayed to the Lord and he came to the Gopalji. You were seeing that, you were there, and in front of you that he promised. Then what happened? Lord then started from there and he walked along with this young Brahmana, came to this border of this Odisha. That's why there's a Sakshi Gopal temple. He moved and walked from there to the Govardhan to this place. So yes, Lord will fulfill such devotees' desires of the devotees, and there are so many examples. There was a devotee called Goshtipurna. Goshtipurna was even the king was against envious of this devotee, and the king wanted to kill this Ramanujacharya, but then the Goshtipurna was Shishya of Ramanujacharya. He took the dress and the garb of Ramanujacharya and went to his place, and then king was trying to kill him, and he completely took out the eyes of this Goshtipurna. And then what happened finally? This by the Lord's wrath and the king was completely kind of mutated and completely in a state that he couldn't even walk or move. But this Goshtipurna was very dear devotee and came to this Varadaraja temple, and he came inside and he did wonderful puja to the lordships. And the Lord was so pleased. The Lord asked this Goshtipurna, you can ask me that anything you want. Lord's desire was this Goshtipurna will ask that his eyes to be back. Because of this king was so furious, so cruel, he took out his eyes and then put him into the forest in the jungle. Somehow he escaped from there. So Lord was desiring that this devotee should ask this desire to ask this, that he would get his eyes back. You know what this Goshtipurna prayed to the Lord? Goshtipurna said, oh Lord, that king, he was so much in trouble. Give him that, good health and everything, and give him liberation. Lord said, so be it. So be it. And even Ramanujacharya was asking him, go and ask to the Lord that, okay, that you please, Lord, that give that vision back. But finally, Lord gave that back, no matter what. But the devotees' desires are like that always. But even that, when there is a selfish desires are also, if it is for the benefit of others, Lord will see that devotees. Like if you are praying for others benefit, Lord will be always pleased and fulfill all those. That's why prayers have such a great strength. Even if we pray for others, as a devotee prays for others, Lord will listen to that. Lord will fulfill that all. But even if when it is a selfish desires and harmful and envious and all those things, then Lord will see that. So Lord is always a well-wisher. That's why Lord is Bhaktaram Yagya Tapasam Sugurdam Sarv Maheshwaram Sugurdam Sarva Sukurdam Sarva Buddha. He's an ever well-wisher for each and every living entity. That's what is always we need to see that. Lord will always do good things for the devotees, and devotees' prayers are always very much pleasing the Lord for others as well. So this way, Lord always takes care of things. I hope I conveyed that some answers, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for this question. Anything else? Anybody else wanted to share any other reflections or any other wonderful pastimes of the Lord, or you have some experiences in your life? Lord is reciprocating with such love. I'm sure that you're all wonderful devotees.
Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam Prabhuji,
Hare
Madhur
Krishna,
Lila
Mataji.
here.
All Gosha Srila Prabhupada.
You just said anybody wants to share some experience. So I lately had an experience when I was in Vrindavan and Govardhan and Barsana. All I was praying was like, oh Lord, give me a chance to, because now I'm Brahman initiated. So in Chapati temple, because there is so many people, so I get, like little less time to cook on the gas. So I said, give me a chance to do the one full, service for you. I want to make this for you. I want to make this for you. I want to make this for you. Blah, 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 blah. So then I said, God knows, once I go back to Mumbai, it's already full, whether I will get a opportunity or not to, do seva. And that I'm returning back to US. So I will have just maybe 1 or 2 Sundays left to do service in the temple kitchen. So please give me that opportunity. And then I landed, and on Sunday, one Mataji fell ill. And I was not happy that she fell ill. I mean, I have no bad intention. But then I said, okay, there is one vacancy. And then I was told to come in, and I did the service. So I made blah, blah, blah. Whatever my desire was there, I made all the items. And then later on, I was so thankful. I said, thank you for giving me this opportunity. God knows when I will get it again. So this was just like when you pray with sincere desire without any motivation of putting other people down or enviousness or anything like this way. So I don't know if that comes under that category, but I'm so grateful that I got this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, of course. Lord, always He is Bhavagrahi Janardana. He knows that everyone's heart. He is seated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya Chakam, Hridi Sannivishto, Madhakas, Madhur Jnanam Abhoganam. I'm seated in everyone's heart. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and for all He is there. He is seeing everything, and He's the desires. So all we need is actually that our sincere desire to serve the Lordships, and don't put ourselves in the center of our life. We put always Krishna in the center of our life, always have that desires to serve Him. And also there is genuine desires we all have that, sometimes we pray to the Lordships that so that we can situate very properly in the devotional services, right? Otherwise, there are so much of disturbances which may affect our devotion. That's what is always we pray that, oh Lord, please don't give that opportunity that we can always serve you, right? That's what is all we need, nothing else. So when we have such kinds of desires and the prayers, Lord will always fulfill those. There's no doubt into that. But again, as mentioned that, not to that, let me put others down, or enmity or enviousness and jealousy, and oh, I'm not getting that. I'm getting, why, Lord, you are doing this to me and that. always sees that, Lord is our well-wisher. Whatever is there, that Lord is doing good for us, right? Lord is always good in doing as a devotional platform, right? When we are a devotee and a devotional platform, that we see that Lord is always there, and there is something that which happens to us. We pray to that Lord, oh Lord, it's your mercy that which happens to us. So there are so many examples that many times we think that this is bad for us, but eventually at the last we realize that, oh, this was God's plan, this was because of the Lord mercy it happened. Like something, we always think that something happens, that there is Lord's plan is there, that that's when we are on the pure devotional platform, not like sentimentally, right? If we do, okay, I do this, I did this one, but we put ourselves in the center of everything, that, oh Lord, then we say that, oh Lord, that is your plan and things like that. We should not come to that level of sentimentalism or a whimsical or something. We should be a genuine pure devotee of the Lord, right? We should be a very genuine pure devotee of the Lord. So that what does that mean? That means we are offenseless. That means we are not offending any devotees. We try to put ourselves as a humble devotee, whom we are there to serve other devotees and whatever the capacity we can. So we put always as lowest of the lowest of the lowest. Everybody else is the devotee. We try to serve other devotee and always wish for good for others, always desires good for others, likes that. So thank you, Mataji, for sharing that. Okay. Anything else anybody would like to add? Any other thoughts? Okay, anything else? Otherwise, let's conclude. Any other thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hello.
Dandavad Pranam always to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you today for this wonderful class, Prabhuji. It was so wonderful hearing about all the Andal and Goshti Purna, and it was like reliving what I have grown up with. It is so wonderful. And she wrote 2 compositions. One is this Tirupavai, and one more is also very beautiful. She only wrote 2, I think, and the other one was her wedding with Ranganatha. So that also
is Nachiyar Tirumozhi.
Nachiyar Tirumozhi, yes. So it's very, very wonderful, very inspiring to read about Andal, and thank you so much for this class today.
No problem, Mataji. Yes, these are all living examples that how Lord reciprocates, especially when you look at the Lord Ranganath and then Varadaraja Perumal and Varadaraja. And then it's actually still it is, now the tradition is there. And then when Tirupati, then there is Tirupati Giridolsava, that the Tirupati Lord Venkateshwara wearing that garland, that will send to the Andal. And then now many temples in South India that they worship Lord Vishnu with Andal, and Andal is there on the side of Lord Vishnu. And then even the garland which wore by Andal also sends to the different other temples, and so that Lord will wear it. So this is it's not that just we are into this 20th 21st century and we just kind of this computer and that this those, we really don't come to that level of the devotion and level of understanding those devotees had in the past. They are very pure and they're completely dedicated their all to the service of the Lord, and such a devotion they developed. So now we are going further and further down into this age of Kali, then we don't even come to that closer to any of those. So, but we can, because of this human form of life, that we can, we have that such an opportunity. That's why we have this beautiful organization, Krishna consciousness. So many devotees, I know that, especially you all, Mataji, go for garland services. There is an example in Guruvayur temple. And this Guruvayur temple, there is a one devotee. This devotee's name is Manjula. Manjula was the devotee. Every day she was making this garland for the Lord, making this garland for the Lord. And it was with such a love and devotion she was making this garland for the Lord. Then one day she became a little late and she couldn't reach on time. That time this altar is closed. So then she was so disappointed. The tears were coming down from her eyes. She was literally broke down and she was there what to do. And oh Lord, I got little late and what to do. And then there was a great devotee called Pondanam. That time he was coming out from the temple. Pondanam Nambudripad mentioned, oh Manjula, why are you here? Why are you crying? So then Manjula mentioned that I just got little late. I brought this garland and then it was night and now Lord is closed. Now I cannot put this one. So Lord Pundana mentioned that yes, in front of that temple there is another banyan tree. Banyan tree means that Lord is always resides on the banyan tree. It is mentioned that Lord always there on the Vadapatra Isha. Vadapatra means this banyan tree, and he is known as Vadapatra Isha. That means he is the Lord of this banyan. He always resides on the banyan tree. So this Pundana mentioned that you go and just put this garland on this tree, and then there is also a small vigraha is there. You just put it there, and Lord will accept it. So then Manjula followed that, and Manjula put that garland to the Lord like that, with that desire, with that understanding. So then what happened? Then next day when Mangalarti happened, so then when Mangalarti happened, Lord, this Pujari came inside the temple. There were a lot of garlands were around the Lord Guruvayurappa. And then this Pujari was taking out the garland one by one. But this one garland was not even coming out. This Pujari was trying to get the garland out of it, but this garland was not coming. So Pundanam was in front of the altar that time, early morning Mangalarti time. So Pundanam understood that this is the garland for the Manjula put it, then it can take it out. So then the Lord heard this, and this is the garland which you asked, the Manjula put it, that came to the Lord's neck, and Lord wore it nicely. And then now everybody heard that, and then Pundanam explained this to everyone that Manjula was there. She put it there, and that the same garland came inside the temple in the neck of the Lord. And so then it became so famous. So devotees' devotion, desires of the devotion, that Lord always accepted, no matter what. So Lord always there to see that devotion of that devotee. So this way, there are so many examples. So those who are making garlands, we know that there are so many wonderful devotees making garlands. To such a devotion, I can feel that. To such a devotion, they make garland and offer to the Lord. And they feel that when they see that Lord wore that on the next day, they have tears in their eyes and they see that so beautiful that they made the garland for the Lord, and Lord is wearing in such a way that this is the pure devotion. This is where that we come to that bhav. This is the real bhav, not that something happened, okay, get me that one, get me this car, get me that one, get me those. Then we get some tears in eyes when we get that. No. When we do some service for the Lord, and then Lord will be pleased with that service. When we see that one, then there is a real reciprocation between the Lord and his devotees. That's the real devotion. So thank you all so much for such wonderful service for the Lordships. And I really, appreciate that. And thank you so much. Thank you, Motherji, for about that and reflecting on that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thanks to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay. Okay. So let's conclude today's class. Thank you so much, dear devotees. Let's pray together. Vancha kalpatarupasya. Kripa sindhubhya vacha padidanam pavanebhyo. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Gandiraj Srimad Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Rupa Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Gaudi Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Simheshwar. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bo.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hari Bo.